Well, Kevin, it looks like our next trip will be to Tampa, Alabama, heading to yet another national championship, dominating Washington out there 24-7. And when you break things down, obviously the defense, they came out, they performed, they got their 15th non-offensive touchdown of the season. The offense, though, sputtered a little bit. Jalen Hurts really struggling, especially through the air, but the running game really picked up. What did you see overall from Alabama's performance against Washington?
Well, it started out a lot like the Florida game in the SEC championship game here, where Florida had that early touchdown drive. Washington did the same thing, looked really good on their second drive, went right down the field and led 7-0, and then barely crossed midfield the rest of the game. Nobody makes adjustments within a game like Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban on defense. They did it again tonight. The offense was ugly. There's no other way to describe it. It was uglier than a head full of confetti. I mean, the passing game, Jalen Hurts had season lows in passing yards, season lows in total yards. The passing game was non-existent. Darius Stewart and Calvin Ridley could have stayed home and watched from their couches. That's how important they were to this game. They never really even tried to find them, and when they did, they weren't successful. So that is something that will have to be cleaned up before they get to Tampa.
Yeah, Kevin, you talk about the offense sputtering, but there was one bright spot, and that was Bo Scarbrough, 19 carries, 180 yards, and really a coming out party for Bo Scarbrough in this football game.
It really was. You know, he's almost been like the Loch Ness Monster or a Yeti. You know, you've heard tell of him, but you've had rare sightings of him. But tonight, all he does is run for more yards in a bowl game than any running back in Alabama history. That's the potential that he's had, and he really demonstrated it when they needed it. Without his production, who knows what that offense would have been able to accomplish. And that 68-yard touchdown run early in the fourth quarter. First of all, he came off the goal line on 3rd and 9, when that could have been a turning point in Washington's favor. He gets 12 yards on 3rd and 9, then a couple of plays later, he goes 68 yards. And he just doesn't just go 68 yards. He runs through 2 tacklers at the line of scrimmage, hits the Jets, cuts back right, ran through about every Washington player, ran through or by every Washington player on defense. The most impressive thing we've seen from an Alabama running back in, I don't know, maybe a year, since Derrick Henry was there. And he finally looked like Derrick Henry Jr., as so many people have suggested he might be.
And when you talk about Derrick Henry, it was the same thing a couple years ago in the Sugar Bowl, when you really didn't hear much about Derrick Henry, and then he comes out, has a big breakout heading into the next season. So can only mean good things, hopefully, for Bo Scarbrough. Now looking ahead, so who gets to match up against the Tide? Well, it's going to be a rematch with the Clemson Tigers. So should be interesting to see how this matchup plays out. You get Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best receiving corps. How do you see this matchup playing out in what we will call the rematch and possibly a revenge game for Clemson?
Let's be honest, best team Alabama has played since the last time they played Clemson. Best quarterback by 800 miles since the last time they played Deshaun Watson. And they had better step it up on offense, because I don't think that you're not going to hold Clemson to 7 points. Let's just say that right now. I don't care how Alabama's defense is the best in the country, one of the best of all time, but you're not holding Deshaun Watson to 7 points. So you better get a little more help from your offense, or you're going to be sad in Tampa on January 9th.
He's Kevin Scarbinsky. I'm Lauren Sisler. Thank you so much for watching, and of course for all your Alabama Crimson Tide updates and the road to the national championship, you can visit us on AL.com.